Hey Linda, we're back.
Hi
How's it
there.
going?
Fine. I'm glad to see you again. I've been watching all your little videos. You've been doing quite a number of them, updates on what's going on.
Yeah, I'm trying to track it as regularly as I can. It moves quickly, but you can see patterns for sure. You can see, especially when you see someone's chart and you see a reflection. Like one of the best, like really showing you how astrology works is Pam Bondi back in June, why it blew up on her because she was getting like a direct Saturn hit. Saturn, Neptune, actually two big planets hitting. So then the message got screwed up and she really was on her back foot, in a pretty intense way. And then
And
you see this with other people too.
if you looked at her chart, do you see where she starts really dropping?
Well, she is like in the near term going into the fall and winter now. Hers is not super stressed. It picks up again in next year. She's part of that group that, 2026, as Saturn and Neptune enter Aries and never leave again, put intense pressure on her.
Okay.
But for her, I don't know why. I mean, it's possible that they'll fire her next week, and then that's why the next few
Well,
months
he
go
would
into
fire her in a
complicated.
New York minute if the heat's on him and blame her. He blames anybody. He doesn't
Oh
care.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure. If things got bad enough, no one would survive. That's true. That's what he would do, 100%. But yeah, that's it's also an example when I'm watching, I'm looking at, okay, where's the planetary pressure? And this also, it excludes, or it doesn't exclude completely, but some people, I have actual charts with times and some I don't. So it's a little less clear, in most cases where, like for instance, Patel and Bongino, I don't have birth times. I only have birthdays for them. So
Right,
it's a little
right,
more
right.
limited what I can say. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was listening to, hold on, I'm turning my sound off on my phone. I had to buy a new phone. It just came today. My son will help me set it up. This phone was is only a year and a half old, the top notch pro, and it'll just all of a sudden there's nothing on the screen. Nothing.
Hmm.
It's turned off, but it's off.
Anonymous is an idea, an unrelenting force that emerges when truth is buried
I just
That's
put it
fun.
on silent.
encryption.
That's
People
funny.
Jesus. So anyway,
That sometimes with that, what you need to do is shut it off and let it rest for a bit. My phone has done that and then it'll come back on
yeah, but
again.
you can't even set it off. You can't see, you can't do anything with it. You can press all the buttons till the count come home, and it's a blank screen with nothing on it.
With nothing on it. Yeah, no, phones can be funny that way for sure. And by the way,
That's the
Mercury's still
first time
retrograde.
I've had a phone that did that.
Yeah. Well, we're about 2, 3 days from Mercury going direct, and Mercury
Yeah, but
retrograde
it
is
did this before. Several times. In fact, one time while playing with it and trying to turn it on, I guess I set off that emergency, that 911 emergency. But you couldn't see nothing. You didn't know. I heard the in the phone, but there was nothing I could do.
yeah,
Sometimes when I hit it, it helps, but that's no way to live. I just got another phone. It's a text
yeah,
right off anyway.
yeah. We can't live without our technology. We find out so quickly. People will complain about technology, but if the power goes down, then you realize, oh, okay, I see what I'm missing now.
Yeah, when we went through the fires before I got my Generac, we sat here with no power for a week and it was terrible.
Yeah, it's bad. I know. That's the thing. Totally
So,
wired.
what's going on with the Orange Crush? Anything new?
Uh, well, he has uh he has the kind of chart where the combination of his age plus what we're seeing. I mean, it's not just someone's age because different people at different ages can be in different places, but he's not looking too healthy. We already saw some, the thing with the ankles and all that. And when you combine that with planet after planet, putting pressure, and especially when they link to the health part of the chart, like that house is, remember how he had said that the same house that makes you a nurse or you maybe you work in a hospital, but you might also work in a prison, right? Because they're in the same place, in the same
Yeah.
location. But planets there are more implicated in health, right, than planets that are somewhere else. And so in his case, it really accelerates. And now there's a long swath here, between like next month and like it goes right through next year and into the following year after that. He's at constant risk, right? And the thing is, the way this thing is going, people sometimes say, "Oh, this guy's invincible." I think he's probably really stressed because he's like Napoleon. He opens multiple fronts in the war, and then things don't work, and then he has to respond. Then he's got to be up at 3 in the morning, texting, firing back at Colbert, whatever. Like his brain is just consumed with replies, whatever. None of that is good for your health. It just
No, I
isn't.
know. And he's
No.
always doing negative stuff, which does affect you.
Yeah, and he's not as sharp as he used to be. If you compare that bravado in 2016, 17, it's like a light bulb that is, instead of at 100 watts, is, 90, 80, 70. You can tell. And also, you notice that he can't hear properly. He'll
Yeah.
be almost always, "What did you say?" And then he'll say, "Oh, I don't know anything about that." Which could be a strategy, but I think a lot of the time he generally doesn't know. So,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, it's not good.
So he's meeting with Putin in Alaska. Do you think there'll be anything comes of that? I just begged Zelensky, don't listen to a word Putin offers because he's such a liar. He'll say one thing, maybe get what he wants and do something else. And Zelensky just announced that they will not be giving up any land.
Yeah, and I mean, this shows you how super hard it is to win land wars for anybody. And yeah, I mean, remember we said this for years. I mean, the problem with the Putin thing is that we have to wait till those two planets get solidly into Aries, which happens next year. Next year, it gets tougher and tougher and tougher. When you put big energies, if you have a lot of planets on the other side in opposition, I mean, look at how bad it is already. He's killing a lot of many Russians. Many Russians have lost their lives, right? So that never sits well with the public, even if it's a building thing. That's what ended the Soviet Union collapsed because of Afghanistan, because all the mothers eventually rebelled.
Yes, yes.
So they're playing with fire there. But aside from that, next year, Saturn and Neptune get in there and start opposing. This is the same problem that Netanyahu has because he's got all the planets in Libra, and he's like hanging on by a thread. As long as he's bombing something, doing something, he can stay there. But the public is, waiting. I think like they're 50-50 anyway. And if things start to stagnate, which is what tends to correspond when you get the cycles changing, the world closes in on you. So we just have to be patient, with this. And yeah, I agree with you. I would tell Zelensky the same thing. Hang tough,
Don't believe
do,
a word
do
he
whatever
says.
you need to.
And then
Yeah.
what's Trump going to do? He's going to punish Zelensky for not doing what he says he needs to do because Putin says so. And you know what? All that stuff Trump promised Zelensky, he never came through with it.
No, well, although he started to send more weapons, which is kind of a funny thing
I heard
because,
that he didn't send them. He let a different country buy them and give them to him.
well, as long as he gets the weapons,
Yeah.
this is the thing. But these wars, I remember in 22, there were people saying, commenting, "Oh, this will end in 2, 3 months." And I remember thinking, I don't know, it's really
Who was
unlikely.
commenting? The Russians?
No, no, they were looking at what they thought they were seeing, and they would even say, "Oh, I saw this intuitive who said by next week it'll all be solved." And I remember thinking that's not really credible. These things, you get them started. It's like the thing with Gaza. Even though Israel is much more powerful, it's really hard to end those conflicts. Really, really hard. Once you
Right,
start
right.
them, they go on and on and on, right? But next year is Waterloo for a lot of these guys because when you start getting big planet energy opposing you in this context, right? If it's a person experiencing it, it's different. You're working on yourself more. Maybe you're dealing with some problems, but here the problems get amplified in a big way, and so that's
You
why.
know, I watched this woman who's famous, a famous Vedic astrologer,
Hmm.
and she was really plugging about August. She said that today, August 9th, is one of the worst days. Some big event will take place.
Well, you know what
There
she was
might
pointing
even
to?
be a change of leaders. She didn't say Trump, but there'll be some leadership changes. So, did you see any of that? But this is Verdict. This isn't Western.
Even if it's Vedic, my suspicion is she's pointing to the fact that we're on a full moon
Yeah.
right now in the midst of, you know, Saturn Neptune conjunct, still in Aries. There are big planets and there's the full moon. I don't know though that you could point to today and say, like, my feeling is the big stuff is more likely to trickle in. I would be surprised, let's say,
Okay.
if it, and in fact, this one isn't even that bad for Trump. I said that in one of my recent videos. The way the planets are, even for Putin, neither of them is being that affected by this particular full moon, right? So I think it's more, you have to let things move forward,
Yeah,
unfold.
but I don't see him winning the Nobel Peace Prize. I just don't see he didn't create peace for nobody.
No, yeah, yeah. And I suppose it could happen at some point, but certainly not the way he was carrying on. I'm amazed that the thing that bugs me the most is how you could follow someone, have the person completely change overnight on what they promise, and you not walking away. But when I did a little bit of investigating on that, the MAGA psychology is that they think all politicians lie, and so Trump is just a better liar. The problem with that is that Trump is like it's like comparing a politician with a garden hose, and he's got like a fire hydrant. He's just everything is a lie, everything. So that's too much. You gotta have some differences, and so yeah,
He doesn't know how to tell the truth, and he believes his own lies.
yeah, no, yeah, no. He's like a mom. Like the thing with him is like he's living in the moment, and he just says whatever lie keeps the thing going, even if it contradicts what was said before. And part of the problem is that the way these guys play, if a reporter were to say to him, something like, okay, wait, you said that in 2000, Epstein stole Virginia Giuffre from you, but then in 2002, you were quoted in a magazine saying that he was a great guy and that he loves women on the younger side. So it doesn't make sense. If you do that, he'll say, oh, you're a terrible reporter, and they'll ban you from being a reporter. So then, people want to keep their jobs, but that doesn't mean
Can't
it isn't
ask
out
an
there.
honest question. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it doesn't mean it isn't out there, And this is the thing that I continue to say for people like this, the US as a country and the world today is a really bad place to do this kind of thing because there's so much information flow and it's like playing whack-a-mole. Okay, we're going to get rid of Colbert. Colbert's not going away. Colbert can go somewhere else, HBO, I don't know, Paramount, or maybe he goes into YouTube. You're not making someone like that go away. They could be even more dangerous to you.
Right.
So
Right.
so it's like you're stamping this out and then some other thing shows up. And meanwhile, I don't know what you think. Do you think the Epstein thing is going away? Because I don't think it is. I
I don't
think
think
this
it is.
I think this thing will get worse because the more something is public, the more, for instance, now the victims slowly are starting to trickle in, and it's a problem. It's a problem because now the latest I've seen now they're trying to involve Melania in this because apparently, according to some of the reports, Melania was in a sense introduced to Trump by Epstein, the
Oh
Epstein
yeah.
connection.
And she
Yeah.
was very
So,
good friends with Ghislaine.
okay. So, none of that is good news, right?
Right.
The amazing thing to me is these MAGA people, right? They're all worked up about Epstein. Think about this. The guy's in France. You know the story. He's in France. He landed in the US. He got arrested immediately in 2019 and then charged, convicted, jailed, and he's dead. All of this happened with Trump in power, right? This
Yeah.
didn't happen under Obama. It had nothing to
No.
do with Obama.
It's almost as if Trump was the one who orchestrated it.
Yeah, because Trump probably thought the last thing I need is this guy,
That's
hopefully.
why I got to put that little asterisk. What about just Lane? She's in a prison that has a lot of leeway. I know they won't let her train puppies because she's a pedophile. And it's a very good way that the Vedic astrologer said that her chart is very touchy, like she could be taken out.
It is. It's in a really dangerous place, and I don't really know how she gets any kind of great deal because she's got a cluster of planets. One is at the end of Sagittarius and then several in Capricorn early. That's the worst place to have planets if you're looking for a break. And this would be if you're a good person. If you're a convicted something, no, that's not when people cut you breaks. So now she did get the prison, but you got to think too. Why do you think they haven't said something yet? Because probably they're looking at the fact that if they say something, they'll probably make it worse. If they go and say, well, Elaine says I'm not involved, people will say, yeah, sure, of course. What would she say, right? Like I didn't see him do anything wrong. Maybe you didn't see him because he was doing it at a different time, or you're using the convicted molester, as your support. It's not a good look, which is why I think they haven't moved so quickly, to tell the public to
So,
try
do
to.
you think Trump is anxious? Does Trump know this is like hitting him, or does he not
Oh,
care?
no, no, 100%. I feel that part of the reason his health is declining is even though he always plays Mr. Big and I'm invincible and all of this, he's under a lot of stress. How can you not be under a lot of stress when you're up at 3 in the morning tweeting, hate tweeting, doing of course you are. This is the thing. And that's why you can see, that he's constantly upset. And you'll see reports that he went into a rage when something happened. Now, of course, you could say, well, I don't believe it, but I tend to believe it based on how he's looking and how he's responding. So, and then there are the planets. For sure when a person is under planetary pressure, the stress increases. You have to be very skillful, to somehow sidestep it. It's really, really tough. And it's all over him. I mean, he got in through Jupiter energy, but now he's got no Jupiter help, right? Now it's all the other stuff that's left, and all of it is pressing. And probably it's very similar to if someone like him says to me in 2024, oh, I have this great business opportunity, what do you think I should do? I would have said, well, yeah, you got the Jupiter, but this other stuff here, things are going to get really complicated. Do you really want to do this? It may not be a great idea because the good stuff doesn't last that long. And then you got to cope with
And then
tremendous challenging energy.
he topples American institution and is so obviously trying to destroy the United States, doing those fraud trade things and taking away help. But in the meantime, he's got the Rose Garden paved over. He's going to build a $90 million ballroom. He's getting gold trim all through the White House, like it looks like Liberace's house. And he's doing all this stuff. And yet, you know what? Like that guy that they had filmed, I think it was it in Indiana, I can't remember, at town hall. Did you see that? And
Oh, the
somebody
guy,
said, what
the guy that was
about
being,
such and
yeah.
such with the Medicaid? He says, well, we really can't afford it. No, but you can afford a $900 million. What do you mean you can't afford it?
Yeah, no, of course, of course. I mean, it's blatant. I mean, and that's the other thing. That's the other thing that around as bad as he is, in his first term, he was sharper because he was a little younger, more energy. And now, because he won, it's gone to his head. So he's not even computing that the bad look, you know, makes him look bad and then gives people, a message. Like, think about next year. Democrats can say, what Epstein proves is that you're helping the rich people. That's what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't even care that you were in the files or not. You're helping the rich people because you're not telling us who's in there. We need to see, right? Second, prices haven't gone down. Prices, if anything, they're going to go up, right? Employment, he fires the person that tracks the numbers. But By the way the the US is very capitalistic. So if you push that away, businesses are not going to be stupid. They're going to find ways to get the data, and the information will get out. He can say, "Oh, we had
Oh, we had
300,000
a new
jobs."
guy do it with 50 million new jobs or something. I
Uh,
can't
it's,
remember.
it's it's ludicrous. It's totally ludicrous. Like you can't operate like that. And this is back to the thing of because his head is so big, he opens so many fronts. It's the first rule of war: don't fight everyone all at once. That's why Germany wasn't able to win the war because Hitler was fighting in every direction. You
Yeah.
can't. Something will go wrong, and then you get depleted and you lose. And that's what he's doing. He's attacking universities. He's attacking law firms. He's tariffing countries that they're too poor. He's tariffing Laos, some country where, I mean, give me a break. It's unbelievable. The countries that only make one thing because that's all they
But
have.
in the
And
meantime, he goes to all his golf things. Every weekend he plays golf, charges the American people millions.
yeah,
And for that new ballroom, so how many big ballroom parties is he going to throw on the taxpayers' dime?
yeah, no, 100%. And that goes to a message of corruption because it's pretty obvious that there's corruption. So you have a lot to work with. And it's not like you're just working with a message if you're running against them. You're working with actual truth. People will see it. They'll see it. And, this thing with RFK, you play games like that, the way RFK plays games with, taking vaccines out of circulation and all these ideas of his, and you're asking for a potential big problem that suddenly puts you in a really bad light. I mean, they're
Yeah.
taking risks, and then when that happens, the public becomes really angry. You know, and by the way, it'll include his own people too. This is not just Democrats
Well,
because
that's the good news about Trump this time. Before, his people still stood for him, but this next time, his people are dropping off like crazy.
yeah, it's. I mean, I think the hard part to accept is that, at least as I see it, the overarching astrology is complicated. It is because where the planets are. I know from the Civil War, the Second World War, we're in a period where there are big social changes coming, and this is the way it's showing up. But if you think about it, how do you end something like this? You got to see it up close. People have to see, we don't like this. Like, I mean, you saw the latest thing with now they're really pounding on they want full white Christian nationalism and women should, know their place. And in fact, they want women not to be able to vote.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I
They've
mean,
been pulling that out of the hat. I don't know how many times.
yeah, right. I mean, if you ask me what would be better for the country, I would say we should stop men from voting for a while, because men, if only men had voted, they would have elected this guy. Like you would never elect anyone normal because men by and
Right.
large, yeah, it's very patriarchal and so forth. So, but very difficult to stop progress. It's super hard. The only problem is that what can happen is if you're living through it, you can really lose heart because you think, oh my God, every day another thing. He's taking down an institution. He's, really the biggest problem though is for the US to recover international friendships because once you insult other countries, like if you think about it now, any country, say the government in Canada, they're going to say, well, say you get a new normal person, they'll say, yeah, but how do we know you're not going to elect another idiot? And then we'll be back here again. So that's the problem. But as far as domestic policy, you can make changes pretty quickly. You can move in and reverse a lot of that stuff.
Well, you know what? Do you even see him beginning stages of building that ballroom?
What do you mean beginning stages?
Because I see a new president coming in and taking over what would have been the ballroom. Maybe they got the outline or something, but I see them making it into uh upgrading it to more offices or something at the White House.
Well, okay, you can count on the fact that this guy's going in there and for sure the next president is going to be, doing some, of course, doing some changes. No question that's inevitable. right? But when you're looking at it up close, it's really disturbing, super
I
disturbing.
don't see it being completed, so he might get kicked out or not able to keep being president. I've always only seen him doing 2 years at the most.
Well, he's definitely at risk, and the thing is, as I see it, it's either through the health or through the politics or both. I mean, this is too hard. There's too much going on, and including that if I saw someone really super competent, but it's very hard. It's very hard when you get, when you get planets opposing you. It's like what happened to George Bush the father. He had won the war in Iraq, and it was pretty good, really. I mean, as far as Republicans go, he was pretty good. But the economy went down, and that was it. People lost trust, and that's usually the big driver. I think it's why the tariff thing. I'm waiting for it to take effect as we go toward the end of the year and into next year,
Yeah,
which is really
and
really
people
bad
will.
timing. Yeah, because that's all you need to point to people. This isn't working. It
Well,
isn't
I
working.
see people up in arms. I see, like you said, the Civil War. I see people in cloak behind in darkness
Mhm.
doing stuff or creating chaos. So they know people are not happy with them.
100%. In fact, one of the things would be that that's a pattern I saw pretty much immediately when I started drawing the charts of the cabinet people. All these people like Bondi, Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK. When you start seeing this pattern of 26 looking rough, because one of the things that your mind immediately goes to is you think, okay, wait, so what these people don't want, they don't want a Democratic House because then they're going to have to answer questions, right? And at minimum, it gets really intense. And so they don't want that. They want to continue working, doing whatever Christy Noem, another one, right? She's out there doing her Barbie doll thing. But if you start getting a
Yeah.
lot of questions, because that's the other thing, they're not particularly good at answering questions.
No,
You put
because
them on
it's
the
all
spot,
underhanded and they take directions from Trump
right? No, and they
or
can't.
Steve Miller, one or the
Some
other.
people are more slippery when they're responding. These people, they complicate things. So when you see that kind of energy, you project more trouble. You just, that's how you read it as far as the turnout. Now by the way, we're gonna get some indication. There are two big elections coming up: the New Jersey, Virginia governorships, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things too is that, and it's just a reality of life. Have you not noticed? I mean, if you just pay any attention at all, right? The party in power has a really hard time hanging on to the House in the midterms. It's very difficult to do. Same with the Virginia and New Jersey. They always go to the other side. That's why Glenn Youngkin won in, the previous governorship, right? So even if you were good, much less if you're terrible, then that's when you get those landslides and big losses. Like
Yeah.
or the country is really upset for whatever reason. Like back in the Obama days, they didn't understand Obamacare, so in 2010 it cost the Democrats a lot. They lost a lot of seats, right? So even without having key topics, it's very hostile, which is why now. What do you feel about this one? I'm not 100% sure. What do you feel about this Texas thing? They're trying to redistrict.
Oh, yeah. Hold on one
Yeah,
second. Can you put me on pause 1 second?
sure.
Now, didn't you do on one of your shows? Was it you who said this? It might have been someone else. You said, listen, I don't care what they do, changing the Texas or whatever. It doesn't matter. Democrats are going to win. Was it you that said that?
I did say something, yeah, because the reason is, you see it and you think, okay, he's trying to grab 5 seats, whatever. Then he's even making noise about Missouri, different places. He's telling, go for broke everywhere. So one possibility, of course, is that the fact that Newsom is countering and all the other states, possibly they stop them because don't forget that in doing this, he's harming a lot of the Republican Congress people who will
Another,
lose their
yeah.
jobs. Yeah, they're going to go, we don't want this. So they're going to probably agitate. But yeah, no, that's the whole idea. which I've mentioned on my channel a number of times, because I'll say, look, if you want to say something to what I'm saying, then disagree with my astrology and say, I don't like your astrology. But don't just say, no, what you're saying, who cares what the astrology says? Well, no, I mean, the astrology says you got a problem, you got a problem. You can't bring in some factor, to say, look, they're going to take the seats. This means they're going to win. No, his his chart is in way too much pressure. And the other people, like I mentioned, how do you explain all these people that are currently in positions where they're not being questioned and you see all this pressure coming in? That's what it is, that they're likely going to have to fight back by answering questions they don't want to answer, right? So yeah,
Well,
that's
when I asked my guides, and I'm going to throw the cards real quick, not only did I pick up Democrats were going to win, but Democrats are going to take away Republican seats.
well, the other thing too, like here's another thing. Uh, there is the chart of Chuck Schumer, right? Now, what is being said is that the Senate is much harder than the House, right? That's the conventional wisdom is that regaining the Senate for the Democrats is harder. But what I find a little strange is that Schumer's chart looks so much better in 2026 than it did in 2024. It's good. It's a strong position. So,
There
and then
you go.
Hakeem Jeffries is a Leo and Jupiter is in Leo. That's good too.
That's
You
good
want to run.
news. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, actually, he's a Leo with planets up in Virgo. So Jupiter will do a 2-year tour. That's the usual pattern you see when someone gets a victory, right? Now, Jeffries, though, I only have his birthday. I don't have his birth time, but still, it's kind of suspicious. I remember seeing that even like last year, sort of going, look at this, for the 26th thing, you see all these patterns, pointing in that direction. So yeah, I'm definitely encouraged by that.
Yeah.
For sure.
I saw, and this happened, I think. Who was the one that won really big? Was it Clinton? Wiped out a lot of Republican seats. Was it Clinton?
No, Clinton had his seats wiped by Republicans. It was the other way around.
Okay. And then
Yeah,
Obama had it the
Obama
other.
too. But you know what it
Someone
was?
got, we had a real good Democratic Congress. What
Oh, you mean
was
that was the House with Pelosi in 18. That was a big victory for
that?
Pelosi.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
I hear psychically people being shocked by people losing that never lost in all these years of being in there. And it's all Republicans.
Entirely possible. I'm not kidding. Entirely possible. When you combine challenging planets with stupid, moronic behavior, because honestly, some of the stuff, what you do is you make people angry. And by people, I mean more people than not. I know that some of these people like you. I know, but it'd be like saying, I'm in a room and 40 people really like me. Yeah, but the other 60 don't. That's the majority. So you have a problem. That's the logic.
Yeah, all he had to do was lose 3% of his base and he's in
Yeah,
trouble. But
yeah.
this is why the people I've always seen what's left of the Republicans that are standing very angry at Trump for causing this. They're going to
Sure.
blame Trump, and the other one they're going to blame is Texas.
Yeah,
Because Texas,
sure.
Texas listened to Trump and started it. So
Yeah.
why they do all this underplay, I will tell you, it doesn't matter what they do because Democrats are still going to win.
That's how I would call it. I mean, sometimes I often feel like saying to people when they'll say something completely different. The way you test it is, what would you put money on? Go on one of those markets where they have the odds. Where would you put your money if you were forced to? You just, okay, you got to bet on which way it's going to go, so you risk losing something. And we'll be seeing. By the way, like people often say, polls are wrong. No, they're not. They give you a pretty good approximation. I think you'll be seeing, like already now, like, do you disbelieve that he's way underwater on some topics, ridiculously low, and he's underwater on the economy? That's not good, right? So he keeps saying the first 6 months are the best 6 months in history. No, they're not. They're not
Oh,
because,
we've done more for this country. Oh my God,
yeah,
such
like the
a
usual
liar.
BS. Yeah. And it gets tiring if you keep repeating it and the actual facts on the ground don't reflect what you're saying. Even people that are hardcore MAGA people are going to think, well, this isn't happening. I mean, this guy is saying things. And
Look
then,
at that guy that just had a town hall. They were booing the crap out of him.
yeah, Yeah, exactly, exactly. And
Oh,
then,
and then Nancy May said, well, they bust those people in.
yeah, I know they bust them in, sure. Well, that's the thing. They always have a message, but there's a point where, it breaks down. And then one of the advantages now, because these goofballs, they got in bed with all these conspirators, right? They needed these people to vote for them. Yeah, but now you got to live with them. And then now you can agitate these guys by saying, look, they're hiding it. I mean, it's pretty obvious. They're hiding it. And you got to tell them to bring it out. And by the way, those are all rich people. Those are all really, really big, big shots. The elites. You think this guy was going to save you from the elites? He's protecting them. Keep saying that. Keep repeating it. And not all of them, but some of the MAGA people will realize, yeah, we're being duped here because they are. I mean, he's
Yeah,
totally conning them. He's totally. I mean, the idea that this guy gives an F about these people is
he could care
ludicrous.
less.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care
He
one bit.
doesn't care about his own
No.
people. All he cares is about the money. You can buy a gold visa and be part of the United States for millions that you pay him.
No, no. I mean,
What president of the United States sells visas? And he's
well,
going to charge foreigners. He's going to charge foreigners in order to come in here, they got to pay so much money.
yeah,
What?
yeah. No, I mean, look, this is the spooky part from the astrology is when I compare it to very similar pattern in the 1860s, and that was a blatant, totally blatant racial conflict. But this is the same. I mean, if you see what they're doing, it's the exact same thing. Now they're saying we want white nationalist Christian rulership with women not being able to vote. Like we're going all in on white men have to control everything. Didn't work then, and it's not going to work now. But you got to go through it. Right? These people
Right.
are hiding under a rock, and basically the Neptune cycle is 165 years. Every 80 to 82 years they resurface, right? Because now in another many years, it'll be Neptune, like I think it's 80, it'll be Neptune conjunct. That period, the country comes together like it did when it started in the Second World War, right? But now it's opposite. So you've got this internal conflict where these guys resurface, but there are not enough of them, thankfully, right? That's
Yeah,
the thing that so
thankfully.
far, yeah, otherwise it would be tough. And I know that the response from people is, well, it doesn't matter that there are less, they'll find a way because of the Supreme Court and this and that. But that thing about that is the Supreme Court, they're also one of the branches, so they don't want to give up all the power. So it gets complicated.
Yeah.
I heard someone say, I don't know what you think about this. I heard someone say that who said this? A really good reporter. He said that. Oh yeah, this person said that he thought that the Supreme Court was going to disallow him from using the tariffs. They're going to say the Congress has to do the
That
tariffs
it's
and not
written
pay.
in the Constitution. Yes.
So I mean, that's an but this is the example of what can happen to you when you're under planetary pressure, is that you run into setbacks and you can't achieve your goal. Like that, the Obama years, he moved into the presidency with really difficult health angles in his chart, but he wasn't sick. He was trying to fix the health of the country. That's what happens to a lot of these guys. It's kind of like RFK. He's got a lot of health in his chart, so he's the health guy for the country, right? But then, because Obama's planets were so tough, it took so long. And by the way, the Affordable Care Act sank his presidency. He got that. He's like the sacrificial lamb. Now, because of him, we have some health care still, but his presidency was completely destroyed by that
Yeah.
initiative. He never recovered, and that's because the
Well,
planets were so tough.
he served though. He served. It's
Yeah,
like
right, right.
Ed Sullivan telling the Doors because they whatever some lyrics in their music, the Sullivan Show said, "We don't want you to say that," and then he said it anyway on his thing, and they said, "You'll never work the Ed Sullivan Show again." He said, "I just did."
Yeah.
So whatever. That's Obama. He's very beloved. He helped the economy and everything. So as far as him sinking, no, I don't feel it.
No, actually, I mean, separately, that's another topic that in the astrology, Obama is moving into a zone now when we're going to see something really new in his way of doing life. But okay, it's possible that it could just be something creative that he doesn't, it isn't as political, right? It's possible.
Yeah.
But it's also possible that he becomes this political force again in some way because he's at a point in the cycle. He's going into the point in the cycle that is a full turn. Like the last time it was there was when he got into politics in 95. He became a community organizer and he started to work toward becoming president. He's at that renewal point again, right? But he's an example of a really smart guy that still ran into problems. Much less if you're a stupid guy, then the problems are worse.
Yeah,
They're
and he
harder
also
to.
happened to be a black man, which was very hard for those KKK people to accept,
Yeah.
especially Trump.
Oh yeah, no, Trump. I mean, Trump. It's that's
He
the other
gave
thing.
them hell. He wasn't born in this country. He just was a
Yeah, I
mean
mean,
person.
did you see? This is classic. It's like you're looking at it and going. I mean, don't make it too obvious or anything when he that uses that goofball Truth Social thing that he uses to tweet at 3 o'clock in the morning. And what he does, it's the same playbook every time. When he sees bad news, he counters it with news that he knows will agitate his people, will get them back hating Democrats. So he was putting messages, against saying Obama, Beyonce, Al Sharpton. Like you kind of go, oh, these people they're all black, obviously, right? It's like totally naked, you know. Point over here. These are the bad people. Again, we're in the same pattern that we were before. Now we've got, by the way, you've got Hegseth. What's he doing? He's trying to restore the monuments. They're going back to that again, right? They want to
Right.
bring back
And he wants
the
women not
Confederacy.
to be able to vote.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the same pattern where you're pushing against people that you don't like for racial or gender. And the problem they have, though, I think if I had to pick probably the worst enemy in the astrology is that planet that was discovered, the planet that bumped Pluto out of back in 2005. That's a woman. That's a warrioress. You can't do it. Women are
Right.
going to rise one way or the other. And it kind of makes sense. Women are now better educated than men. They, like by the numbers. I'm not saying all of them, but whenever I make a statement, I mean percentages, right? Like big group is what you see. So it's kind of an unstoppable force, and you speaking against it, all it does is motivate them more, to
Right. Especially
stand for
with them
themselves.
saying no abortions and you should be at home and they don't want women to no DEI, no this and that. Yeah, F those guys.
Yeah, no, exactly. They're doing every single thing to try to do what the Confederacy was doing in the 1860s, right? But in case people don't know the history, even though that didn't end perfectly well, obviously, because people bring up Reconstruction stalled. Well, that may be true. But that decade, there was a period of, like now, quite a few years were really bad, but things recovered, right? And the
Right.
public as a whole was always picking the better angels, the better side, which ironically then were the Republicans. The Democrats were the total racist. They were
Isn't
awful,
that
awful.
weird? Yeah.
Totally, it kind of flipped later, but that's what it
You know,
was.
I don't know if you've looked at the United States chart
Oh
or
yeah, for
in
sure I have.
whole,
Yeah.
but are we going to are they going to take away the Olympics, etc., because other nations are afraid to come here?
Which Olympics are we talking about?
I think it's 2028.
2028. I wouldn't. I mean, probably not. I
Okay.
doubt it. What do you?
I mean,
Does it
he's
feel?
talking about charging more money for the visas. How can we do a proper Olympics with him making money off these poor people and their families trying to come here?
I would say very unlikely, just because if you think about his nature, it's more likely that he likes to brag and he likes to look good. And if anything, he's probably going to be too easy. Like you'll see the hypocrisy again. He'll do things that people will say, well, why are you giving these visas when you deny them to other people? He doesn't care as long as he can brag and say this was the best
Yeah.
Olympics in history. It's on a galactic
Well, there
level.
was a
No one's
great
ever.
video online of him at the last wrestling event, and the crowd booed so loud. It was beautiful.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, he's not popular with large swaths. You always got to keep those numbers in mind. And yeah, I mean, I'd be worried. I'd be really worried if right now he was above water everywhere and things were, but he's not. He's just not,
Yeah.
People are not happy. And I don't see how this gets better because the thing with tariffs is that this means goods have to be paid. The people that are selling you the goods, when they buy them from somewhere, they have to charge you more because they're paying more. It's just simple math. And even if you want to make a case that somehow this helps in the future, it may, but it doesn't help this year and next year. It doesn't help at all. There's no
Okay.
way. Because what will happen is you'll pay more and then people will be upset. And then, then you can talk about things like he says Medicaid is not going to be better than ever. But I'm sure Democrats are going to say, January 2027, those hospitals don't have enough money. You have a problem, right? And it's a question of you need enough of them to realize that that's true. Because he's gonna say no, it isn't true. He'll just lie, and he'll tell his people to lie that it isn't happening. But I mean, why do you think when they pull the big, beautiful abomination bill, it polls really bad? Bad, bad, bad. Like, I mean, like 70, 80%, terrible numbers. I mean, we're not talking 55, 45. It's much worse because, a lot, even the people that are Republican are kind of going, this is no good, what
Oh,
you're doing.
yeah, but they
Yeah.
kissed the ring, so they're in trouble too.
Yeah. I mean, the big problem with expecting something radical to happen is that the party in power has a lot of power and they can offset it until they lose control. They can do something. I mean, especially the way this guy works. The Justice Department is like they're like his private lawyers, so
Right. Right.
it's much harder. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, my friend, thank you so much.
Oh, that was a pleasure as
I
always. Yeah.
have to get off because the vet's going to call me. Lulu's going to have surgery on Thursday.
All right. Well, good luck to Lulu. Is it a complicated surgery or
It's a
just
lipoma that's in her tail and also goes up and covers her bladder.
oh, yeah, okay, you have to
And
get it.
so apparently they can do it externally. They can remove it like a snake.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
then she also has one in her abdomen, and I'm worried about two surgeries. So I'm going to talk to her today. Do you have to do both? I know it costs me more money to bring her back in for the abdomen one. The abdomen one doesn't seem to be interfering. The one on her tail causes her tail to be heavy, and the fecal matter sticks on the hair, and we're constantly cleaning her. So it'll be nice for her to be able to bring her tail up, right?
Yeah, these poor animals, if it weren't for
I
humans,
know.
they wouldn't live like I remember our
And
cat.
remember, I just had Jack.
Halfway.
He had lipoma the size of a rugby ball, huge, and it was affecting his ability to walk. Now he's running and playing. He's doing fine.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So
All right. Well, good luck. Good luck on that.
thank
All
you.
right. We'll say goodbye for now. Bye, everyone. See you
Bye,
soon.
everyone.